live. Just getting all my technical stuff set up here, muted. Dude, why is this not capturing?
Brian.
Hey, Mike. Dude, why is this not capturing? Yeah, we'll get started in a few minutes here. I just gotta figure out why this isn't. The Zoom cast not capturing.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Cool. Yeah, we'll get started here in a second. Let's see. Put a little question in the chat here, just kind of where everyone's at. It's good for me to kind of understand what your biggest challenges are. I mean, I think a lot of the topics we're talking about today are around people, because that is we're all the people business here that happens to fix cars, paint houses, install turf, whatever it is. So I think that's super important. But yeah, if you do that, and then we'll get rolling here. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, we're gonna get rolling here. Looks like we got a good amount of people on. I think we got probably another 10 or 15 joining. So real quick, like if you're not following me on YouTube at Brian Beers, I'm really working to build the audience over there. I'm putting out new videos every week. I've got just hit 3,000 subscribers, which is nice. Actually went and shot one this morning. It was a lot of fun. We got this new towing business that we launched or created called Rocky's Towing. And we're out shooting this video. And of course, one of the lines breaks on the truck and shoots hydraulic fluid everywhere and totally messed up our plans. And then we had to totally reroute and get another truck. And anyway, it was fun. But so YouTube, a little bit about me. I've been a franchisee for 10 years now, almost. My biggest business is Midas Auto Repair business. We do $50 million in revenue. I have about 215 employees in that business. Have been in it forever. And then recently we've expanded into some home services. So we're in That One Painter, which is a residential painting commercial franchise here in Philly, and Waterloo Turf, which is an emerging brand that we have in Houston, and we just bought some more territory in the Dallas market. And we're getting that thing launched from zero. I'm a minority partner in 2 other brands. I'm also an investor and advisor to multiple franchisors, bringing kind of my perspective on, kind of running and scaling and growing these things. We have a franchise brokerage business. We help people find great franchises to buy. So anyone looking to kind of buy that first, we have a whole team of people that can help you with that. And finally, I have 8-Figure Franchisee, which is basically a franchisee growth accelerator. So our goal is to help our members double their profits, or double the distributions, which is the money you take out of the business, on their way to building an 8-figure business. And we do that through having a sounding board. We have an online active community. We do in-person events. We're hosting one in Charlotte in 15 days from now. We'll have about 15 people there. and really dive into each person's business and help them solve it, to help them double the cash flow out of it. And as part of that program, I have this like 12-week roadmap that we're currently like going through and installing. And I think a lot of the questions that I got today that I think we're going to work through together are around comp plan design and kind of this like leadership side of it. And then I think a little bit probably on this like cash flow. And so, franchises are funny in that like, there's all these different brands and models and there's all these different things, but at the end of the day, like the core foundation of what you need to do to be successful kind of falls into these kind of 12 steps, you could say. And so anyway, I'm looking forward as we knock every week. I'm releasing a new one kind of within this community, and we're going from there. So I'm going to open it up now to we'll get some questions here live as we work through it. And so I don't know who someone wants to go first. Maybe Philip Silver, if you want to go. I know you had a question.
Nothing particular. I was just wanting to hear more of what other people had to ask.
Okay, no worries. Okay, cool. What about I don't know, Ryan Edwards?
Yeah, hi. I think, just looking at some of the options that you had there, the ones that you're in, so the brick and mortar versus the kind of mobile units.
Okay.
I'm also kind of struggling between, there's two different concepts that are kind of similar, and any insights or anything you can share around, how to think about one versus the other, even what you're trying to get out of it as a franchisee, some things that we should be thinking about.
Yeah, on the mobile versus retail side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple big ones in our experience. So one of them, I guess, on the pros of retail. We'll start with retail. So the pros are, you can physically go to the location and see everybody in one shot. Like I can go to one of my shops, I can see everybody, I can tell if they're in uniform, I know if they're in a good mood, we know if they showed up, we know how they're treating people. Like you just have a lot more control because they're all physically reporting to the same place. Versus in the territory or mobile businesses, you may all start at a warehouse and then go or whatever, or you may in our towing business and the painting business, like the guys are just, they take the trucks home and then they're out throughout the day. And we may get together once a month for a meeting. And so there's a lot less like in-person interaction. And because of that, you get into like accountability issues. Like, are people where they say they are? Are they doing, are they dressed, or are they wearing sweatpants? Are they like, friendly and they get in a mood? Are they following the process? Like it requires really more one-on-one work than it does, kind of the one-to-many you could in a retail store. And so I would say that's the hardest part that we've experienced is kind of the accountability side. And so you have to overcome that through all right, we do, daily huddles, or guys have cameras on, right? And technology makes this easier. We've got GPS trackers in all the vehicles. So we know are they at home until 11 o'clock or are they out doing what they're supposed to be doing? And then we just have, tight expectations of what we expect from a performance-driven manner. And then it's this hey, if you're hitting your goals, whatever, I'm okay if there's some flexibility as long as we're hitting our goals versus, you're not hitting your goals and I'm going to be on your ass. And then we're probably just going to find somebody else, right? At the end of the day. That's the hardest part. Now on the flip side, the retail things they're hard to find, right? It all depends on the model. And auto repair, we need a very specific piece of real estate. And it could take us 6, 9, 12 months to find the right spot to get the build. I mean, it could take a year sometimes. And then, so if you say, hey, I want to get to five locations, is it going to take you 5 years to get to your goal? And, so acquisitions make that much easier. That's one of the big reasons we've done so many acquisitions is because it's just access to real estate. It's the only way we can get it because it's there and it's the only way. Where the mobile businesses, man, we just spin them up. I buy another truck. We just expand the territory. We throw out some more marketing. And so there's a speed to it. And then the cost, obviously. Retail is going to cost much more than any mobile business. And so I wouldn't say there's better or worse. It's kind of where you're at right now. What can you afford? How quickly do you want to go? There's a guy in our group here in the 8-figure group who was partners, and they run $100 million a year 1-800-GOT-JUNK business. Mobile business, right? They deal with all the same challenges. They've figured it out. They're in 10 different cities, maybe more. So not, they're across the country. So it's all possible. It's kind of like what it is for you that you're really looking for.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the biggest. Is like I think you mentioned the kind of like the how quickly you can scale. I think those are two different models that I'm kind of wrestling with.
What are the brand? What are the? You don't have to tell the brands if you don't want to, but what are the?
Actually, I was actually looking at one point junk removal with Belfour. You probably guess what that is.
Okay, yeah.
A newer brand. So I was looking at one, but the other one is a content restoration, and another one is kind of a social adult daycare model, actually.
Okay, that's the retail one.
Yeah, that's the retail
one.
Exactly.
Contents is kind of retail. I mean, contents is kind of in between because you got the warehouse, your team's going, but then they're coming right back. So it's that's more that like B2B model.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I did have a follow-up question, if that's okay.
Yeah, we can. Yep, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. I think the other thing about this is that at least in my city, I'm in Austin, so there's a lot of all of the established brands are they're pretty much gone. There's very few of those. So a lot of I'm finding a lot of the early stage concepts that I need to invest in, and so. I think any guidance on like how to assess an one early stage versus another early stage in terms of which ones might be or have the possibility to be more successful.
Yeah, so let me I'll just share my screen real quick. Hopefully I can do this. Let's see. So I got this document. I'll put this in the chat, but kind of this franchise due diligence checklist. So this is kind of what I would go through of any brand. Doesn't matter. I mean, newer, more existing. It's let me just make my face a little smaller. Here we go. I would go through it. So I'm like looking at the leadership team, right? And it's like where they come from, what is their background? Are they a first time, franchisor, or are they, are they more established? Do they have industry knowledge, which would be, they're good like in the turf business or whatever, the thing I'm part of, like. They have people who are experts in turf, and then they bring in people who are experts in franchising, right? And they've part of the private equity company behind them has done a bunch of franchises on their board, all those things. And so they kind of mix the both. So that's one thing I look for. I'm looking at, are they operating units? How long have they been doing them? What is the success of theirs? Do any of their leadership team personally own franchises? Like, that's a good sign, right? If they're putting the money in. Reputation obviously matters. Financially, we're going through the whole thing. I think on the financial basis, you're also thinking through like, how do I think this thing's going to do? Like macro level too. Like, do I believe in the business model, like the business model and the industry? Because you may say, hey, this is like a relatively new like business, and they don't have a ton of track record. But it's like, hey, this is a huge industry. There's a huge need. This is a growing need, right? And you have the vision of knowing this thing could work. I think about that. And then obviously you really want to get into like training and operations. And if it's a newer franchise, or they should be very hands-on with you in terms of like, on site, like their people traveling to you, like you're meeting with them a ton. There's a very like quick iteration of the issues you're facing versus like solutions they help you solve. And then I'm looking at growth strategy, right? Is it scalable? Does the franchisor encourage growth? Some don't. If real estate's a factor, can be a bottleneck, kind of as I spoke about. And then ultimately, what's your exit strategy and the market research. And so I'll put this here in the chat. So you guys can grab this document. So there's no like, I wouldn't say there's no like magic bullet to say, like if there's just one thing. It's kind of like, you go through the whole thing, right? New or legacy brand, and you want to be asking all these questions. And I have it linked here. So there's like, if you click here, I have like 25 more questions here you can ask the franchisor. You don't have to ask them all, obviously, but like, where it kind of really comes through all that. If at the bottom here, I've got 20 plus questions for franchisee validation. So, in terms of they may only have a handful of franchisees, but you want to talk to them and really get into them with how long they've been in it, typical day, what are the challenges you're facing, talk to me about the support, where is it good, where could it be better, what's the relationship like, what do you think of the leadership, kind of the marketing, the direction. I think one of the biggest questions is just like if you had to do it all over again, would you do it? I think that's good. Then going into their sales, their financials, as much as you can kind of get out of them as part of your due diligence. And the big thing even when talking to any franchisees is you really got to want to make sure you talk to people who are like you, like who would operate it like you're going to operate it. Because if they're going to operate, if they're part-time and they hire a manager, like whatever, they're not really into it, and you're going to be like all in on this thing, right? Your results are probably going to be different. And vice versa. If like you're saying, hey, I want to hire a manager to run this thing and I'm not going to be very involved, you really want to talk to other people who are running it that same way to kind of hear what their experience is. So it's apples to apples. Because, or if someone calls me about Midas, like my experience right today is completely different than someone who's buying their first one. In terms of like what a day in my life is like, or, what challenges I face are completely different than like what some of. Now, in terms of what do I think of the industry and the direction and the growth and the brand and the support, like all that stuff's the same, right? So part of it is like you just got to be careful, talk to as many people as you can, take everything with kind of that grain of salt, and then ultimately you're gonna have your own kind of gut level decision here. So, is that helpful?
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Freddie Jordan, are you available? And we could just put.
I'm sorry, I'm here, bro.
Yeah. Do you have a question? I saw you submitted one.
I guess my question, I'm looking at the Midas franchise.
Yep.
That's something that I wanted to do, and this would be my first endeavor. So the questions I would have is the process. From signing a franchise agreement, coming up with the money to get started, and things of that nature. What would be the pattern I would have to go through? Kind of give me a quick.
The timeline, is that what you said?
Yeah. Just basically like this is gonna happen, next this is gonna happen, next this is gonna happen. Kind of like that little.
Yep. Yeah. Let me pull up here real quick. Is that? So this doesn't answer all of it, but I did do actually a video very recently on this retirement, your kid's college. Let me just mute this thing here. I'll put this in the chat here. But yeah, I did a video like a couple weeks ago on kind of the step-by-step guide of what there's like 8 steps or whatever that walks through kind of the process. But as like the quick overview, yeah, you're gonna be like, all right, I'm looking for a brand. Maybe you settle on Midas, but maybe you're comparing other automotive brands to make sure you get the best one or like whatever it is. Then you work with them, right? They have their franchised teams. They walk you through their process. They're gonna vet you just as much as they're gonna, you vet each other, all right? And then, you're gonna want to line up financing relatively soon. I mean, financing could take months, especially if you're going through the SBA. And so, we have a number of brokers that can help you. Basically, you work with them and then they help shop it to the SBA. And you can start that process, the SBA, as soon as possible, to be honest. Like, it doesn't matter, even if you change brands or you say, hey, it's not Midas anymore, I'm going with like a dumpster business or something, it would be totally fine because they underwrite you first, and that's the most important thing. And then as you work with them, you develop your budget to figure out what it's going to be. One of the challenges is in Midas specifically is going to be you don't know what kind of space you're going to go into. Like if you go into a second-gen automotive shop, like an old independent that closed down, your costs, like my costs going into one of those might be $150. I could get into one if I'm just leasing. I have to replace some of the equipment. I paint the building, new signs, renovate the waiting room. But like a lot of the stuff is still salvageable. Like the last store I was in for $120, my 35th store. But then if I had to go in and it's like a complete gut and I have to like run airlines and I have to do a bunch of construction, like it could be, probably 300, 350 on the higher end. If I have to replace the roof and the HVAC system and more, like could be even worse. So there's like a huge range. And so that's kind of why you want to get underwritten for, to see how much you can approve for, and then you can kind of know what you can shop for. And then once that, you fly, you meet the team, you start going through the process then. And they walk you through a lot of this too. Like they hold your hand every step of the way.
Okay. Do you have any pitfalls, things that you think I should look for, things that say you don't want to do that, or this is a good idea, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is like it's like if you're in the retail business, how much does a location matter? Is a question that should be asked. And there's some businesses that the location matters a ton. Like, and if you pick the wrong location, you're not to say you're doomed, but like you're going to be in bad luck versus you pick a really good location. Now, if you get into a mobile business, like location doesn't matter, right? It's just more territory. And then it really matters the people you hire and the process and all that. So that would be the one thing. If you're interested in like Midas or any retail-based business, it's really understanding how important is the real estate. And, they help you with this. And then it's this question of how long does it take you to find it? And trusting your gut that you've got the right spot.
Okay.
So, cool. Monty, you there?
Give me 1 second. I'm switching from my phone to my desktop. Is that okay, Brian?
Yeah, you're good.
Message you when I'm good.
Okay, cool. I'll just go. Hey, I don't know, Eric, I'll do yours real quick. It was also related to funding. So Eric asked, he's looking at funding with Robs. So where Robs is a 401k rollover, you can take your retirement funds basically and use that to fund the startup of a business, and it works really well with franchising. And so he says, do I go full Robs or do I split between Robs and the SBA? If I can minimize my debt payments, I'll cash flow positive faster, and I can reinvest for growth. And so he's leaning to that, using the full Robs and then purchasing the equipment outright rather than lease it. What am I missing? So I think a couple considerations. The one, so how the Robs works for people don't like, just as a base knowledge here. So let's say the startup cost is $200,000 and you're going to fund all that $200,000 with your retirement fund. So you put personally no money into the business. The Robs, your retirement account funds the whole thing. So technically, your retirement account is a 100% shareholder of your new business. And so then you, as the employee, you get all paid through a W-2. All right, so you're an employee of that business. You would take no distributions because all the distributions, quote unquote, will go to the shareholder, which is your retirement account. And so then, as the business makes money and stuff, and you want to take more money out, you're paying yourself through W-2 bonus, whatever. And so it's in some ways it can be really good because you can access that money. There's no penalties. It can grow. All that money can then go back into your Robs account, tax free. You're not paying any income taxes then. Only when the money's taken out of the retirement account, like any other retirement program. And so that is really not like, that's like the real good benefit from it, right? It has to be a C Corp, so there's like some restrictions around that. So then what people run into is to say, here's the downside. It says, hey, well, I want to like grow, right? But I don't want eventually I want to like take more money out without having to pay as much of the like W-2, Social Security, Medicare taxes and stuff. And so most of the time what you do then is, say you're buying a second location or you're expanding the business, more territories, another market, whatever. You open up another company, like a second company. And then that company is not funded with the Robs money. In theory, I think your like initial company could loan it the money to start it up, and then it's paid back. And then ultimately what people do is then they sell the assets out of their Robs company into their new company to get, and then whatever the proceeds are kind of go back to your retirement account. So hopefully that like makes sense just to how it all works, so that it goes funds in, all the distributions have to go out back to it. And then when you sell it, the proceeds go. So it's all like, you don't pay penalties. Now, the question about, do you use your debt? So if you use the debt, yes, you have the payments, but then you'd also have the benefit then of, let's say it was 50-50. So you got 100K for round numbers from an SBA loan, and then 100K from your ROBs. Now, technically, you own 50% of the business personally, so then 50% of your distributions and the profits go back to you personally, right? Obviously, you still got to make your debt payments and stuff. But once the debt's paid off, then you have 50-50 ownership versus 100% owned by the ROBs. And so, there's pros and cons. I think if for Eric, for you, if you're saying, hey, I want minimum debt, I don't want the leases, like I really want to make this thing like as lean as possible, then just do the ROBs thing. And then once it grows, and you're like, you want to take more money personally and you want to pay less in taxes, then you later down the line, you do the restructuring to get it out of the ROBs, side of it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Brian, that's fantastic. I appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
You're good. Yeah.
I apologize. I'm on the road right now, and there's some traffic going by me. No, that's fantastic. I was unaware of the distribution versus W-2, so that's really good intel. I'm very close to acquiring my first franchise, right? And I'm just trying to figure out what that funding strategy is going to look like.
How much is it? Like total budget?
Probably like 350, 400.
Okay.
That consists of about 2.5 free territories. It's a service-based business, so one unit, so to speak, right?
Yep.
That can satisfy those territories. There is opportunity to grow. So knowing that I couldn't use the current, I guess, legal entity to grow is really good information, right? As you described.
You would break it out. You would probably break in a separate one to grow, because eventually you want to get out. You want to get out from under most people want to get out from under the restrictions of the ROBs over the long term.
So I guess what I'm looking at is, right, like, why do I want to take debt on, pay more money in interest, and then have a number over my head when I can get cash flow positive sooner, right? I understand I'm taking on additional risk, but at the same point, I feel like it's not a full $350,000, $400,000 investment. I'll be acquiring assets.
Yep.
And let's just say everything goes shits up, right? And I don't sell anything. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I lose maybe 50% of my value, right?
Yeah.
But I know that's not going to be the case.
Yep.
Am I looking at the wrong way, Brian?
No, you're good. If you're saying, hey, my goal is to be as lean as possible, to cash flow as quick as possible, I'll deal with the Rob stuff later, then that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like kick the can down the road, focus on getting profitable, takes weight off your shoulders, and then you just deal with it later. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I don't have a
All
problem
right.
with
Thank
that.
you very much.
Yep. Cool. Well, good luck with it. All right, cool.
I'll be in touch, Brian. Don't worry.
Okay, good. All right, Monty.
Hey, just two quick ones on ROBs, because I looked at that 3 years ago. I didn't do it, but I did talk with a small independent shop out of Texas that I really like the guy compared to like Garden and Ben.
The other ones. Okay.
The other big guys that were really impressive. I just went with a conventional loan. And there's a guy named Doug Johns on the West Coast that was on Acquiring Minds who did a pretty big ROBs plan and took down like a $9 million Roto-Rooter business.
Oh, okay.
It's out there, but he has some really good information about how he strategically structured his ROBs so that he could recapitalize and take down the ROBs and pay himself back. So if you go down that path, it's some good content to look into.
There's a way you can do a Roth too, where you convert it, pay the taxes, and then it goes tax free and whatever.
So my question is, at what point did you just get itchy enough that you decided to go into looking at other brands and expanding out besides Midas? I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to put in my conditions of satisfaction.
So I had two others. I mean, prior to this, that we didn't do that well with them. We lost money, or the one we just didn't make any money. The other we lost money, and part of it was like the conditions. So like those kind of failed. Where I feel like now we're doing better at it. A lot of it is like, are you in the day-to-day is a big part of it. To say if you were the day-to-day decision maker of your filter business and everything relies on you, and now you want to split and like have something else. So now you're 50-50, right? And it's really hard if your attention is totally split on both of them. And that was like a big thing for me versus now, like I've got a whole, We have a whole entire team that runs the business. I literally have no involvement. My phone doesn't ring for any operational stuff for the Midas business because I have an amazing team that we've built over the last couple of years, which allows me now to have the time to then go work with the people and pay really good people because I don't need the money right away. We're making enough out of there. Like I'm saying, I'm doing this more for like the long-term play, and so that's part of it. But then I always also think back to like, well, what if I just, instead of like doing all these other stuff, like what if I just kept buying more shops? Like I'd probably be better off, to be totally honest with you. So sometimes you do it more for the fun of it and not necessarily because it's the best financial decision. You know what I mean? Like if you get really good at Filta and you're making like $1 million or whatever a year out of your market, like why wouldn't you just go and find another market that's just like yours, it's an hour and a half away, and you do the same thing, and now you're making another $1 million out of that market. And then you just do it again. And like it's kind of boring because like you know, it's like the same stuff. But then as the company gets bigger, like you can afford to hire really good people, and they're like the problems of the 3 different markets, they're all the same problems, right? Because it's the same business. Versus, you know, like we've got, you know, a bunch of different problems and completely different businesses, and like so then you need really good leaders in each one because they're like a silo, and there's only so much our Midas guys can help our paint guys or our turf guys, or you know, when we have leadership meetings and stuff, and we talk about the global things of recruiting and compensation and time management and like whatever we talk, it's like they're leadership meetings. But when it gets to like the operational stuff, you know, I could add 5 more, 10 more Midas shops, and nothing would literally change except we'd make more money, right? And we'd have more opportunity and more synergies and you know all that stuff. So I would say if you get really good at it, I would, and you know your numbers are good. I would just keep. I would test the limits of how big you can make it. Is what I would personally do, and that's what we did with Midas, right? And I felt like some of the other ones we've done have been more sidetracked. So
yeah, if I can get out of the day-to-day, I have visions of potentially taking out the East and West franchisees. I don't know if I want to.
So the question, my question to you is how much, and you share as much as you want or don't, but like how much money do you think you could make on those? Like if you took those out, like 400 grand more, 500 grand more?
Oh, easily $1 million.
$1 million more. Okay. So if you said, if I had time, I was out of the day-to-day, I could go and make $1 million more, right? And it's like, so then the question is, well, what are you willing to pay, like in a salary, to get the person, the quality of person that you need to make $1 million? Like there are plenty of guys out there for 200 grand. You can get some really great people, right, who could go out there and be absolute rock stars. And so a lot of times it's like, well, I don't want to spend the 200 grand. Like you look at it like it's a cost versus like I'm investing $200,000 to make $1 million more, plus get a bunch of your time back because now you're working on like more fun stuff because your phone's not like blowing up with like, you know, so-and-so didn't clean the toilet and everyone's mad at them.
Somebody left greasy skid marks on the kitchen floor again. Well,
yeah, you're like,
why are you emailing me? Email my manager.
Yeah, so
I told you this for 2 years now.
Yeah, so if you're like fairly confident in terms of the acquisition opportunity, the growth opportunity, yeah, I mean, I would say we could, and I could help you get connected. You know, we get one of these. You know, one of these guys.
And we can shoot the shit. I mean, that's one of my thoughts for Charlotte is next week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, and if you're willing to make, so it's hard when you don't have the money yet. Like the challenge is like you see the potential, but you're not making it yet. But like for you, you're kind of making it. You're there now. It's just like, all right, let me go line up. You know, let me line up these next dominoes, get this guy, get him on board, and then we can go after these things. And now you got like a team, and it's not just you. And it's really like it's an investment in your growth. So
yeah, well, that's the inflection point we're in. I mean, it's a good problem to have finally.
Yeah. It's been a couple years. You've got, like earned it, right? You're in the challenge of it all. So cool. Anything else, or you good?
I mean, I can keep going.
Okay, now we'll rotate.
I'll throw that Rob's first, and it's not even it's just if someone's going to do Rob's, this guy really impressed me. I did some pretty serious due diligence. So I'll throw that in the chat. He has a similar name as mine, but has no relationship.
Yeah, okay, cool. Cool. I mean, I could randomly call some more people, but if anyone wants to raise their hands, I'm happy to go that route too.
Hey Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, being new to this, what is a Rob?
Oh, Rob. So it's a rollover business startup. So if you Google Robs, ROBS, so you got to have a 401k or a an IRA, and then basically there's a process to use that retirement funds to fund the startup of a business, and it can be a franchise. So.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was looking down the line, but I didn't know you could do a Rob. I was just waiting to pull out the money.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd say the only thing is like you got to be doing enough that makes it worth it. So like I would say probably over 100,000, because you have to be a C corp. There's paperwork, there's costs, there's like a bunch of stuff related to it. So it's people, it's got to be like it's got to have enough volume to make it worth it. Is my and they would tell you the same thing.
Yeah, we have like about 1 million in
Okay.
For retirement funds, but I was waiting to pull it out. But Rob sounds something that would work out for me. So
Yeah, I mean the challenge is just it's your it's your retirement fund. It's like you're betting on the business, which is like a riskier thing, obviously, and so that's really you just got to be really comfortable and on that bet on yourself that you're going to make it work, right? That's the that's the downside of it all. So, cool. I don't know, Melissa, you available?
I am, but I joined late, so I
Questions?
I don't know. If
Compensation structures. You had some questions around that, I think.
compensation structures. Yeah, so we're just at the point where we're trying to. I've never had hourly employees. We're trying to design compensation, looking at a base or commission structure. I'm just curious, what are some strategies for? We've done a lot of research of our competitor brands, of the industry, et cetera. We're talking to our accountant, fractional CFO about what does this look like. But I'm just curious, how do you come up with the compensation structures you get to?
Yeah, great question. And this is Waxing the City, is that right?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, and are they? You're talking about the like the individual estheticians, waxers.
Yeah.
Look at the names right here. But okay, so you're talking about their compensation structure. So, I guess my first question is: did the franchisor or other franchisees have recommendations for you to start there?
They do. Yeah, there've been there's probably 3 or 4 structures that most people use. 2 are the most common, and those are the ones we're looking at.
Okay. Can you explain those real quick, and I could give you my take on it if you want.
Yeah, I think the 2 that we're looking at is either a base or commission.
Yep.
So starting with a base, once you get to certain, then you get to commission, and then the other one is a base and tiered commission.
Okay. Yep.
Lower.
I'll just share I got my screen share here. So one of the things we're working on in the State Figure group here is I've got this whole kind of library of compensation plans, and so I wanted to. So this is kind of like a list of them here. So for individual producers, so anybody who's like, and I'll add Waxer. I'll figure out the whatever. But so a couple ways. So this is what the weekly draw. It's really or commission. This is how we pay like our auto mechanics, and so they pretty much get an hourly draw. So like $20 an hour, 25 an hour, 15 an hour. It's whatever, some sort of like guaranteed rate or a percentage of their sales, whatever's higher, right? And so it allows, so you can kind of play with those 2 numbers in terms of, somebody who obviously has a higher guarantee is going to need to do more sales before they can make more than that versus, you might get somebody at a lower guarantee. So sometimes we might have somebody who say, hey, maybe we'll give, I'm just going to make these numbers up here. Something like this, where someone might have a higher guarantee but a lower commission, so they're going to be pretty more steady than somebody else who we say, hey, they're willing to take a lower guarantee, but then we'll give them a higher percentage of sales, and like ultimately, this person could make more money if they produce more than this person, even though their guarantees are less. So that's a popular plan. That's what we use. Other ones, I would say, I like that. That's what we use. some of them, just do hourly plus. If they have the ability to sell things, you could possibly bonus them on that. Like if they have the ability to sell additional products. What's the commission percentage they recommend?
They do. Right now, I think it's a 10%
Okay.
on retail.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be in yours. Like we don't really have that in the auto repair business, but in yours, if they have the ability to like do the service and sell the product, obviously, you might pay them a little bit more on that product than whatever like the base commission is, or you do a tiered one. So like,
Right. Yeah, some people do tiered on even retail, and some just do a straight commission.
Yeah. So the other model that we run is this is for our store managers, but whatever, it's the same approach. Where basically the store manager earns a percentage of the store's gross profit, and there's a tier, and so that the higher they do, the bigger percentage they get. And so in this case, he's got to do 15, like that's the minimum. If he does less than 15, he doesn't get anything. They do 15 grand in gross profit, he gets 2%. So the minimum they make is 300, 15 times 2. But if they can hit 25, they get 3%. If they hit 30,000, these are weekly numbers, they get 4%. And then if they hit 35, they get 5. And so, and then this is this like tracker we have. But then each week, like he hit 5 this week, he got a really good bonus. And then these other weeks, they've just been hitting, 2s and 3s. So.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the other way we do it. And then they also have a monthly bonus too that pays them a percentage of growth versus last year. So in his case, once a month they get that growth depending on how they did.
Yeah, we're thinking of doing, I think, some monthly bonuses on key KPIs to stimulate, growth in certain areas, and also not getting locked into doing a commission on them continuously or something like that.
Yeah, the spiffs, like we call them spiffs. Like we're gonna sell we're gonna run a promo on like one thing. We'll pay an extra X amount of dollars per unit sold, or every 10 that are sold, or whatever. Generally, those like you do it, they sell them, and then you stop it, and they stop selling them. And so like, which gets a little frustrating. So the other way is like if you can do it more through like education of kind of like this is the benefit, this is the thing, like. And it's integrated into their plan. It's just they do it because it's a good business decision for them, and they make good money, and it's good for the customers and all that. Then that is definitely a preferred way.
That would be good. Then yes, like on retail, it's just a straight retail commission all the time, versus on retail. That makes sense.
Yeah.
How frequently do you change your commission structure? So as not to just
as infrequently as possible.
Right.
I've had this manager plan. We've had this thing for years. Many years. I made this. We've many years. We've thought about changing it, but every time we go, I have 70 people on it. Like I have 35 managers. We have 35. This because the assistant managers just get like half of this number. So it's the same plan essentially. And in our mechanics, they've been on the same plan since, 10 years, 15 years. It's been forever. So,
how long did it take you to get there? Did you try some different things early
on?
on?
We've tried some different ones. Some of my some of my rules here on comp plan design, but it has to line incentives. Sometimes if you pay on sales, they promote sales and don't care about margin. In our business, the guys can they price everything. They control their costs a lot, and so yours I would probably be okay paying on sales because it kind of is what it is, right? It's versus you don't have the cost of goods like we would sell $1,000 job, a job that costs $900, and we literally lose money. Keep it simple. They really should be able to explain it to you and put it on a napkin. I think it's super important. And I've had these spreadsheets where they had this massive spreadsheet and they had to enter all this stuff in there, and there was tiers and hurdles and all this stuff, and nobody could understand it but me. And if people don't understand it, they're not going to drive towards it. I like to keep it on things they can control. So obviously, feel like I have a direct impact over this is the best. And then some sort of balance in terms of that hourly guarantee that they feel secure about versus having upside. And it's, as the business owner, we need to balance that, because if they have all upside, if it's all high guarantees and high upside, then like we put out a lot of risk and then we're not getting any of the reward. And so you definitely have to have that balance. So
Yep.
those are some things I'd think through. But yeah, I'd say like if other people have a plan that works and it's like, like it's known in the industry kind of thing, I think that those are pretty good ones to go with.
Awesome.
Because like even our plan, like our tech plan I showed you, that is a common plan. There's probably thousands of shops that are on that. Like people comment, they're kind of used to it. If they're either that or what's like a flat rate, which is, they're paid like per billable hour, and anyway, but they all get that, and so it's not like this like thing we have to explain too much. So.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool.
Sorry, can I just follow up question? So it sounds like I think both Melissa and you, Brian, would kind of suggest that you would have some type of variable comp all the way down to the very front level employee, right?
Yes. I mean, I would. Depends on the. I mean, yes. Yes is the answer. I mean, it depends on the business, but like, we want people. I want performance in service-based businesses. You definitely want performance-based compensation, right? Where somebody's effort could change it, you want it. Now, if you're like making smoothies or something, right? It's like, it's gonna be a little bit harder, I think, in like QSR or maybe like a fitness kind of concept or something where like it's more process-based. But in a service-based one where, two different people could hustle more. Like if my, in our towing business, if the one driver hustles a lot more than the other guy, like he probably should make him more money. If he's making me more money, like why wouldn't I pay him more money? Right? And so that is something I'd really think through. And that, and in the waxing side of it or personal care, a lot of it is like, they build relationships with clients and they're the ones like promote, like they like them and they're friendly, and then they're the ones trying to get them to sign up for the membership, right? And it all it all helps. Now there's other models too. So like I've got a bunch. This is all part of like this my franchise 8-figure franchise kind of program here is getting all this stuff. But like I would say if you have a team base, so say for you're at the like the content restoration business. I would probably have more of a team-based model because the guys are kind of working together to go to a job site to collect the stuff, to clean them, right? And so on that you could have some sort of like something like this where they have an hourly and then there's some sort of bonus if the sales that week exceed a certain amount, or if like whatever the KPI is that you want to track, whether that's sales or jobs or some sort of like efficiency number in terms of like, billed hours to the insurance company versus clocked hours that, they were on the clock. I would probably have something like that in that business.
Hey, Brian, how do you administer those programs? Do you use like specific software for it, or?
No.
Because it can be pretty tedious to have to calculate at the end of every pay period, like whether or not they're getting their performance pay versus the minimum wage, et cetera.
Yeah, so what we have is some pretty good spreadsheets that pull in from our point of sale. And so we're able to, the spreadsheets calculate how many hours did he work times his hourly rate, which is it pulls from a database that we maintain. And then it pulls in the sales and it calculates the commission, and then it pays them either or each week. And then all that, we hit export, goes into a CSV file, we upload it into our Paycor software, and it's inputted. So there are some manual adjustments. Like if someone works at another store one day, like we gotta like there are sometimes some manual adjustments we have to make. But yeah, otherwise, if you didn't have that, you would just type in the numbers off the spreadsheet or whatever into it, and it would do it.
Thanks.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point in terms of like simplicity matters. So like, don't make it super complicated if a simpler solution will do for you and for them. Because if they don't understand it and it's too complicated, and now you're like spending hours every single week trying to figure out like what people get paid, and then you mess it up, or they calculated it different than you calculated it, and now you're spending all this time like, going over like $50 or something, and it's like it can become frustrating. So that's what I would say. Cool. Richard asked, managing partners, how do you deal with them? Here, let me, I don't know if I've got, okay. Well, I've got two different ones. I'll explain two different ones version. So one of them I do is for kind of like the district manager level. So depending on like what the relationship is with the person, we do a model, or we have done in the past. I think it's a little bit different now. But basically, we look at the net profit for the time period. So, you know, let's say it's monthly. So we'd say, hey, your stores, you run 7 stores. We share P&Ls with everybody. We say at the end of the month, you did, let's say 14, or I have my examples here. We did 10%. They make 10 grand a month in salary. We did 10%. They get 10% of their salary, which is $1,000. The next month, we do 15% net margin for their group of stores. They get, that would be, 25%? I know, what am I doing? 15% margins, 35% of their salary, $3,500. They hit 18, whatever. So it's tiered up. So this way works well because like, it's like kind of predictable. There's like a cap each, not that it's capped, like you could go up to 100%, but like you kind of know what it's going to be. And let's say we shuffle up the districts, like in mine, we have 35 stores. We do sometimes we'll pull a store from somebody, give somebody else another store. And it allows us to say, at the end of the day, it's still the margin of their entire thing versus if it's raw dollars. And let's say I pulled away a store from somebody, maybe it's not even their own fault, but maybe whatever, there's like another reason we're doing this. Then like automatically now they're like in this lower tier, maybe because nothing they even done wrong. And so this is a good one for those scenarios that we found. You could make them dollars, like for our like higher level people, we are looking at net profit dollars each quarter, and then based on the net profit dollars, they get a percentage of those dollars. To say you get 5% of whatever the profit was, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% of the profit. And so, if they hit some really high numbers, they can earn like a significant chunk of the net profit of the business. And so they're then incentivized to drive the profitability of the business, right? We add more locations, we improve our margins, we hire better people, we do like all the things.
So these managing partners are not for individual locations? You don't have managing partners for like a specific location?
We do. I have another plan for that. And those, let me see what's the easiest way I could. So we have 8 now that are store managers. Here it is. This is exactly it, actually. Well, it's not exactly it, but it's close. So basically it's this one, draw plus profit share. And so they'll have a salary, which, so I don't know, in this case, let's say it's $5K a month. And then what we do is we take whatever the profit the store made and we exclude whatever they've already been paid. Okay. So let's say, the store, whatever the P&L says, we add back whatever they've been paid. So let's say it's 15K. We times it by 30%. So that's like their draw, which would be 5K. So they get no bonus because they've already been paid the 5K, right? And then another month they do 25K of profit times 30%, 7.5 minus 5, they get 2.5. Another month they do 40, right, et cetera. They're making 12 grand that month because they get 30% of whatever the profits are, essentially. So that's what we do for our managing partners. It's very similar to this.
Okay, and did they? Is that somebody that you promote after you've seen them do really well? They would advance to this from just being a regular manager.
Yeah. We have conditions that they have to meet. Sales volume has to be a certain amount. Google scores have to be a certain amount. Customer count has to be growing. And operationally, they have to be like a sound business. Like sometimes we'll walk in and it's like a total shit show, and there's like a bunch of stuff, and it's like we're not proud of the store, right? When you walk in, we want to kind of avoid those versus the ones that we're really proud of. So, we also are using it too as a carrot to get some other guys who people who run competitor stores that do very, very well and make a lot of money. We use this to try to bring some of those guys on. Now they kind of like, sometimes we can get them on. We get them on this program. Obviously, we say, hey, you got, these are the conditions you have to meet. You've got 90 days to get to this point. But we have very high expectations because we're running multi-million-dollar stores for competitors. And if they do the same or even less money with us, they will make like significantly more money because of the structure. And we're okay with it because our net like is higher. Like we're paying them a higher percentage of revenue maybe than the non-managing partners, but we're okay with that because we're getting higher dollars. What business are you in? Auto repair? Are you in auto repair, or what business are you in?
Fitness.
Oh, okay.
I have personal training studios, exercise coach.
Okay.
And I have a 5-store deal. I just put an LOI on my 3rd location, and I have 2 really good managers in both locations now. And I'm trying to decide what to do for number 3. I'm trying to like.
Yeah, I mean,
both.
I would tell you that like, I don't know how much this drives behavior. It's still like TBD in terms of like, we get it and we talk about it all the, we talk about it, we review them, and some of the guys really get it. And then other ones, like they're going to do what they're going to do no matter what the plan is. You know what I mean? Like they're going to do a great job. They're going to do all the things they want. They're going to make all the right decisions. And it kind of doesn't matter which way you slice it. And so it's like,
that makes sense.
So it's like, do you want to, like, this is a more complicated plan in terms of like, you got to review P&Ls. You got to go over costs. We cut a tree down and it's $4,000 because it's about to fall in the building. Well, guess what? That just cost $4,000 off the P&L at 30%. That's $1,200, right? And like, then you have to have these conversations that maybe are a little bit like not fun to have, but it's like, it's all part of running the business, right? It's all part of like the P&L versus like, our other plan that I shared pays extremely well for people who can get it to a certain level. And then you don't have to worry about all that other stuff that's outside their control. So I think there's like a balance there, right? And it's like, how much time do you want to invest reviewing P&Ls and margins and fixed costs and variable costs and, otherwise, because if they don't really understand how it all works, like, me and you, when me and you look at a P&L, we really get it, right? But otherwise, like if they don't, it's, they just like kind of look at the number and be like, how much money did I make? And like, okay, this is good or not good, right? Is kind of where it ends up at. And it's like, if that's all the discussions that it was really going to happen, why overcomplicate your life instead of just like paying a percentage of, in your business? I mean, you could just do, sales minus labor or whatever, or just sales, and you could just have it tiered. So the more they do, the more volume they do, the bigger percentage they get. Ultimately, they'll make more money if they drive volume. So
that's the way I have it right now.
Yeah,
and I had a
if it's working,
quarterly KPI plan.
Is it working?
Yeah, it is working. They're hitting the bonuses every month, and they're happy.
Yeah. So just don't change it. Just keep doing that. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Where are you out of?
New Jersey, Northern Jersey.
Okay, where?
Bergen County.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Midas and Dumont.
Yeah, I mean, you told me that.
Okay.
Last time I was on. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions? I don't know, Andrew. What do you got? You've been quiet.
Yeah, just your best source or best place for sourcing talent. I know you've gone into that ad nauseum, but I may need to source somebody here like in a hurry.
I mean, we hire everybody off Indeed. It's terrible.
Okay.
I mean, we fired everybody, and so we're like, we are actively recruiting people in the paint, the paint business, and it's been,
Definitely a struggle. But the veterans organizations.
Yep. What about them? Or
what's the one I can't remember the name off the top of my head?
Yeah. So I use 2. I mean, they're really more for like the leadership roles than I'd say a sales role. So this is one of them. It's called the Special Operator Transition Foundation, SOTF. .org. And so this is where I've hired a couple guys from. And then the other one, I'll put it in the chat here, is called Honor, honor.org. And then this is called the Honor Foundation, where similarly this is where I found my Waterloo Turf partner from. This was this one. So But yeah, great for the leadership. For the leadership roles, awesome people. Not as much for like sales roles.
Yeah, no, I'm looking more for the leadership, looking to possibly exchange some ownership stake in exchange for a good, valuable business partner.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to share my structure that I've used with you. I think it works pretty good. So, but yeah, I would structure it where it's, you know, they get on, they get a percentage of the deal, they have a vesting period, and you treat them like a partner, obviously, because they are. So.
Appreciate it. I got to jump on another call.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other kind of questions? I don't want to. I mean, I'll keep calling people out, but otherwise, you can raise your hand, or put it in the chat. Comp plan, design, or hiring, or Josh, what do you got?
So the franchise I'm going into is it's like a low headcount home service business, but the people, and I'm going to Discovery Day tomorrow. The people I've talked to, all great, but they seem to be in one of two camps. They're either owner operators, where they might be 1 to 3 years in and they're still doing the day-to-day kind of sales stuff, or they're the kind of like the empire builders like yourself, where they've scaled to multiple territories, and it feels like there's kind of like a void in between there somewhere of like, you can't really do it with one territory. Like, you can't be uber successful. You got to burn the midnight oil. I understand you need to do that anyway the first year or two. But it seems like after that, these owner operators are still in the kind of 40 to 60 hours a week versus the empire builders. And I don't know if there's really a question here. It's just like,
observation.
Do you find that a lot of people have to really migrate into multiple territories or locations to really find that inflection point, or can they sort of back off the gas pedal after a couple of years, even with one patch or one territory?
Yeah, so I think, for a lot of these things, a lot of the businesses don't make a ton of money. One unit doesn't make a ton of money, right? Like life-changing money. Our shops, I want to say it's like the blended numbers, 150 to 200, something in that range per location. So you have one store, you're making, 150, maybe 200. So it's like, you kind of, but then you've got that job, and then it's like, all right, I've got 3, but then now I need kind of like, I still have the job because everybody reports to me. And so then I need to hire somebody, but to get somebody good, you got to pay them at least $100,000. And then now, there goes like a bunch of my profit. So now I need more to like cover that guy's cost. And some people just like don't want to do that too. And they're good with just saying, hey, well, I want to own two of these things, 3 of these, or territory based, maybe it's a little bit whatever. And, they're making $300,000 or some amount of money, and they're like, they're good with it, right? Their initial goal, like when we survey people, for a lot of people that are looking to buy a franchise, the initial goal is to replace their income, right? To replace the income plus a little bit more because of the risk. And it's kind of like, for a lot of people, I think it's really hard to kind of see beyond that until you're there. And then once you're there, it becomes kind of this binary path of saying, well, like, I'm good where I'm at. I got the lifestyle. I got the freedom I'm looking for. Like, I achieved what I set out to do. And then there's other people that say, well, like it sounds like maybe you, which is like I got it down, but now like I want to like grow this thing. But it's hard to see, how do I get from like 0 to the empire, right? It's just like visually, you just don't know it. Versus once you get to like, once you're in and you're operating, you're making money, and like things are starting to work without you, like you start to build your team, then like your eyes start to open up to what's possible. And then it's a lot easier to visually see what it's going to take now to get to whatever, right? A couple locations. Even Monty was, I don't know if he's still here, but we were talking earlier, and he's got this territory-based business. He's been in it for 3 or 4 years. Took him forever, but now he's there, and now he can see the light of a second territory, a second market. And once you have a second market, adding a third market is like no big deal. And then once you have 3 markets, going to 4, 5, or 6 doesn't feel that much heavier. And so I think
Right.
that's what we experienced. That's what I think a lot of people do. And so I would say, yeah, the first thing you want to make sure is, hey, can this thing be profitable? Do I want to operate this business? Like, and then you kind of like make just tap. I don't say don't worry about it till later, but it's kind of like, you know, it's a good sign to me if there's other people in the business who've built an empire, who built multiple locations, and you say, I want to build multiple locations. The path to get there has already been like cleared. Versus if the biggest guy has 5 and you have the goal to get to 20, and you want to be the trailblazer in the thing, like no one has gotten to 20 maybe for a reason, right? That is beyond of what you can control. And it could be the franchisor doesn't want it. It could be like, listen, we don't want that. We want owner operators. We want people who live in their towns. We don't want big guys. It could be issues with the business model. It could be whatever, just people, whatever. There's like tons of reasons they could do it. But
Cool.
how close are
Appreciate
you?
your candor.
Are you close on it? Going to Discovery?
Very close. Yeah. And actually, I looked into the ROBs too, and honestly, just like the fees, the corp and S corp and all that stuff was just prohibitive for me. So I'm doing a margin. I'm just doing a margin loan on my non-retirement investments, and I can get a lower rate that way than even SBA. So.
Yeah. You can get some of the. I mean, it's secure. So cool. If you move forward, I mean, you should look into this my 8-figure program, and this is all the stuff that we talk about, especially this like the mindset stuff of how do we do that and operate, and happy to help you grow it. So.
Thanks.
Cool. Any other questions from the group? I know we've got a bunch of. Patrick, anything from you on Monster?
Yeah, I think we talked about it initially, kind of before we started the call. Just looking at kind of bigger franchise versus smaller franchise. One unit doing 100 to 150 times 8 versus one that could do 1.5 million in itself. How do you look at those two, both from a growth perspective, from investability, and then on the back end of it, 10 years from now, on an exit multiple, what would you prefer and why?
Yeah, so good questions. So for context, he's looking at a tree service company, right? So it's very high because of the fixed, all the equipment you got to buy. But I mean, it sounds like you would own a pretty big area, right, in Nashville?
Yeah. I mean, the territories aren't super big. I think they were 250,000. I mean, people. I mean, it's not small, but it's not like they're giving you the whole.
Yeah. But you would look to control the good portion of it, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd have probably at least 3 territories, if not more.
Good, because I think that's part of it, right? You have to have I think you really need a pretty big area to really make it work. You're making that investment, right? You can travel a little bit. You've got the equipment. I mean, they're definitely two different ways to think about it, right? The one is like, hey, it's gonna be small and you're just gonna like duplicate, versus the other is like, hey, yeah, we're gonna build this massive thing and we're controlling it all. Like, I mean, even for me with the turf business, I mean, that's it. Like, even like we own Houston, right? But like, we're thinking about it as just we own one big market, right? And we don't have the CapEx, so it's we don't have that component. But from how we think about it, I'm not thinking about it on a per unit basis at all. I'm thinking about more of like, like what is the team that we need to build, to service this market. And so it's more of like, all right, I'm gonna have this sales guy cover the north, or this lady cover the south part. We are gonna have like, we're now getting like into the cleaning business, so we're just thinking about how we're gonna do trucks and routes. And so we're thinking about it, but it's more of like the business operation and what are the gears that have to turn, not like, I need one unit to do X amount and then I'm going to, duplicate it. And I would say even in the paint business now, that's the same thing. Like we have multiple guys covering multiple territories, project managers, crews go between them all. I think in the territory businesses, a lot of it is more, fluid than in the retail business where it's, like obviously we have 4 walls and it only can do so much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry as much about that versus, thinking, all right, if I own this amount of population, finding data in terms of like, I don't know, how big is the industry in it, and what share could you get, right? Because that's really, I mean, that's the question isn't really, well, what can I do per unit, but it's more of like, all right, if I start with 3, like how much money can I make, right? And then if it goes well, like you'll buy the rest, right? And you'll own all in Nashville, whatever that is. And it's not about, is it 3 territories and dollars per unit? It's like, you know, how quickly can I get to $1 million? And then how quickly can I go to 3 or 5 or 10, right? In revenue. And, you know, is that possible in that market?
No, that makes sense.
And the answer is yeah. I mean, the answer is yes, right? I mean, there's tons of trees and plants and storms and, you know, I guess what I like about their model was it's the mix of a high ticket, you know, emergency, sometimes driven model of tree removal, right? Like we have these massive storms all the time now that like, even up here, we get like tornadoes up here in Philadelphia. It's crazy. And, you know, those trees, they're booked for weeks. And a lot of it's insurance paid. It's even higher. It's higher, you know, they can charge whatever they want, essentially. So you get like the inconsistent, but highly profitable, high ticket side of the business. And that's where you utilize all your big expensive equipment that if other people don't have, I mean, you know, like you've got, you know, a competitive advantage there, mixed with the recurring revenue, you know, small ticket, you know, plant healthcare, lawn maintenance kind of model, which is,
yeah, it was interesting.
You know, because you can build that up, right? The plant healthcare, we literally spend, you know, we have beautiful landscape. We bought my house because of the landscaping, and you know, we spend thousands of dollars a year on, you know, multiple services a year where they come and they trim the branches and they do the injections and they, you know, we care very deeply about a number of these trees. So. So like I'm a customer. My wife, you know, she, you know, there's some trees that she really loves, and like, you know, it doesn't matter what it costs. Like, we're to make sure we'll do the best we can to maintain it. So you mix that with the emergency, high ticket, high margin stuff, and I think it's an interesting balance. I like businesses that sometimes have that, but then you're still serving the same customers, versus needing to go out and like service different people. You know what I mean? Like it's the same core.
There's a lot of cross-selling.
Yeah, where it's just like, you know, the person that does, because why wouldn't you use the same person? Like we literally use the same tree company for both. So like, so that's what I like about it. You know, the downsides, it's high cost. It's this question just really of like, how long does it take to generate enough cash to make sure you make all your debt payments? Because you'll probably get loans. It's easy to get loans on this type of stuff. You're not going to pay taxes for a long time because of the depreciation.
When's the break-even point? How far out is that from a time frame?
Yeah, that's part of the validation, talking to other franchisees and and figuring it all out. But you build a big. I mean, tree care is a huge business, right? And it's not going anywhere. AI is not replacing it. Robots aren't cutting down trees. And like you can get, you know, there's residential aspects and then there's commercial. So you go out and get, you know, property managers and other ones that have multiple properties, and you know they're going to have consistent companies that do it. Even for Josh, I mean, when we visited him, it was like we're going to HOAs, multi-hundred unit HOAs that they maintain year round, and so like those customers are just like guaranteed money.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of, it's more of it that goes on than I realized after I've been digging into it. So when you look at the exit side, would you prefer to have, you know, 8 units of franchise A versus 1 unit of franchise B at the same EBITDA?
Yeah, I don't think it would. I think if you're looking at buying it, like as the buyer, you're looking at what's the cash flow, what's the owner's responsibility, what's the, you know what I mean? Because if you said, hey, I'm going to build this thing up to $5 million, making $1 million of profit, and I've got X amount of dollars in equipment, and you go to sell it, like those are the numbers you're going to look at. And you own you own all of Nashville, or the best parts of Nashville, like one of the best, you know, fastest growing cities. Like, you know, you're going to have like and you have no day-to-day operation of the role. You've hired a GM, you've got all these people below you, right? Like you are going to have a very valuable business. Why would you sell it? I don't know, but like, you know, because if you're totally out of the day-to-day and you're making good money,
let it go.
Yeah, why would you like? I mean, I think about it all the time. Like, if we were to sell our thing, what would I do? It's like, well, I do exactly what I'm doing today. So why would I sell it? I mean, I'd have to but only if we thought like it was going down, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, like if you can build the team to generate consistent cash flow, and that's what we live off of. So
yeah, unless you had another opportunity you want, that's the only way I could do it. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So
no, appreciate it.
Cool. Well, good luck as you go through that.
Thank you.
So, cool. Any other questions? If not, I'll wrap it up here. So, awesome. Well, it's good seeing everyone. And if there's anything I can do to help, whether it's you're looking to buy a franchise or you want to learn how to grow it, I'm here to help. You guys know how to reach me. Cheers.